Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. So nice that you are here. This video is for everyone who's currently building their UX portfolio or for everyone who is thinking about getting started applying for a new job where a portfolio is required. So building a portfolio is hard work and it takes a lot of effort, but don't be scared to get started. It's totally normal to feel a little bit overwhelmed, especially in the beginning, and especially if you finished the projects a long time ago and you don't really know where all the resources are. Yeah, that might be overwhelming. So I got you covered. In this video, I am going to talk about my personal tips for building a portfolio and structuring your case studies for your projects you worked on and that you want to include in your portfolio. And one mindset that really helped me building my portfolio is done is better than perfect. You can iterate on your portfolio and your case studies whenever you want. So perfectionism is a good thing, but sometimes it really holds you back to really apply or to get your portfolio out. Generally, when you can't really articulate your design decisions, it will make your day-to-day role much harder because you won't really know how to deal with pushbacks. And it will also limit your career options because your ability to write a strong case study is, I would say, the foundation of really creating a strong portfolio and also for doing well in interviews, right? So because in the interviews you need to talk about your project. So before we get started with the structure and really how to prepare the content, I want to talk super briefly about your target audience for the portfolio. Super important to keep that in mind. So your target audience will be mostly recruiters and hiring managers if you're applying for a job. What is their goal? They really want to understand as quickly as possible if you are a good fit for the role. They want to know if you have the required skills for the role. They want to see how you solve problems, how you think, and also how you work. Generally, they are pretty busy people and they spend maximum 5 minutes browsing through your portfolio. I think on average it's around 1 minute. Just keep that in mind. I would say let's jump right into the content after we talked about your target audience. So we are going to talk about the role of case studies in your portfolio. We are going to talk about the structure of a case study. And we will talk about the steps to writing a thorough, readable case study. UX is a hot field and there is a lot of competition. Recruiters want to know how you work. They want to know how you work, so they need to see your process and the way you think, how you solve problems. Great case studies will really push you forward so much in your career. Recruiters or hiring managers really see your skills and can make a better decision if you are a good fit for that role. So how do you structure a UX case study now? So generally you start with an introduction. You show the process and then the conclusion. So introduction, process, conclusion. And in the introduction you have the overview, you have the problem statement, you have your users and the target audience, you have the scope and the constraints. Then you have the process with, all the methods you went through, and then you have the outcome. That's the intro. Now jump into the 5 steps of an awesome case study. Step 1. Really get started. Get started is the most difficult part, and I actually start usually with just post-its. I write the topics that I want to include in the case study briefly on post-its. The sections, I write them below. You can also do that in Miro. And for me, that personally helps me so much to really get a sense of the project and what I want to, really get through. Also, really go through your design files and see what you actually documented, what was the whole project about. Maybe it was some time ago and you don't really remember everything. So this is the super important first step. Step number 2, write an outline. I usually divide the process in 2 parts. So the first is really writing down the structure of the case study, and the second is really creating the design artifacts and all the design assets you need. This makes the whole project much quicker. So really start your outline with the different sections, listed above, and start filling in bullet points under each section. So don't worry about the sentence structure or anything, just write and get everything out of your head. as you've been documenting your projects, as you work on them, then you may have some of this already written down. So you can add titles and headlines, and you can use another color for images that you want to include that you already know, or some design artifacts that you want to include. Super helpful for me. I usually do that. So really focus on the process here. Basic process looks like that. Of course, you have probably at some point some research, you have concept, you have testing, you have like a design phase, you have some high fidelity mock-ups. But in reality, it usually looks a little bit different. So there might be in a different order, or you didn't do all the stages. That's totally normal and that's fine. So really show the real process, focus on the whys and the hows, and not show like the perfect process, because that's not realistic. It's really important to tell a story with your case study. Really include storytelling techniques, like you can see in this graph. Super helpful for me to help the recruiter really understand your process. Step number 3 is prepare the assets. So you want to include any assets or design that help the reader or the recruiter really, or the hiring managers, to really understand the content and the projects and your amazing project. So really check all your design files and have a look at all assets. A case study or a portfolio is a design piece itself, and really treat it like a design project. So it should look nice and have, of course, visuals included. So to really differentiate yourself from the crowd, make sure that your case study looks amazing. From my experience, especially junior designers who are coming right out of the bootcamp or just doing some courses, they really like visual design and storytelling, so they don't really know how to present their work. I personally try to present everything super visually appealing in a way that it's not distracting from the original content, and what I would recommend you is to really make sure everything is in the same style. So if you're working with Figma, for example, there are a lot of resources which you can use for free. The Figma community, for example, so if you need to create any assets for like a user journey map or a persona, mockups, any kind of resources that you maybe included in the project but need to redo it because they don't look that nice, you can redo it. So you can show different versions you work on, the different screen flows. You can kind of like zoom in and out of your design process, show different flows, but also the depths, some screens in detail, for example. Tip: use mockups for your devices to make it visually more appealing and look more realistic. Then another tip is really to include animations to your case study. Add GIFs, create a GIF that loops, that looks super nice. And in case you don't know how to do it and want to learn it, I created a course where I'm talking about that on Skillshare, about how to create your case studies. And I also added a 1 month for free voucher in the description box, so just check it out. Maybe that's interesting for you. And step number 4 is write all the copy. So pro tip, especially when you're writing your case study in not your mother language, I always have someone who really spell check or to really proofread my copy and text, because spelling mistakes are not that awesome. So really write the details. What did you do? For example, what research method did you choose? Why did you do it? Or for example, why did you, what were the results of that research method? What did you test, the different versions, and why did you decide for a certain result? How did you achieve your research goals or your business goals, all those kind of things. So what did you learn in the end? For example, what would you do differently next time? So for each section of the outline you are working with, write a single headline or a sentence, something like that. Except for the process section, there you'll be focusing on your, on the different sections, because you definitely want to have like a section for each step you went through. What type of research you did and why did you do it? Example, analytics really revealed that customers struggled and sometimes even abandoned the checkout of the booking session. And to really understand, we conducted 6 or 10 or whatever usability tests. Or finding from the research, usability tests revealed that long-term renters versus short-term renters had different accommodation needs, which were not addressed in the current checkout options. Or impact of research on product development. We prototyped 2 versions of the checkout, allowing customers to choose shipping address on a per product basis. At the end, you talk about the results, your outcome, which can be any key success metrics like conversion rates, for example. In general, it's super important that it's easy scannable and no long essays because no one is going to read it. Also, hiring managers are just going to scan the text. Choose a typography that is easy to read and has a high contrast, not too small. Step number 5 is really upload. And now is the time to upload everything to your website or wherever you host your portfolio. I used to upload most of my case studies on Behance. I think it's a great platform and it actually brought me a lot of clients. It's free and it's super easy to use. And so I think it's a really good thing to get started if you don't have another place. I usually export the different sections either in PNGs or GIFs, and that save them all in one folder and then just upload it. In case you want to go a little bit deeper into that topic and also see how I create animations and videos, mock-ups, how I choose typography and the visual style, I can highly recommend my portfolio masterclass on Skillshare. It's about UX case studies, how to create them, how to structure them, but also really how to upload it and then how to get the job that you want. And yes, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments. I'm super happy to answer them in the comment section. Good luck with your case studies. Thank you so much for watching and see you soon, my friends. Bye bye.